5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. And let's dig into the news as usual. Here we go. What kind of barbecue warrior are you? Lovingly made from plants. Looks pretty good, huh? And like I said yesterday, the biggest problem we have in meatless burgers is that they don't cook them right. Got to really cook them fast, hot, and not long because there's nothing to kill inside of them. Anyway, let's flip over to the article about this. This one is This was a British company that's doing those ads. The ever-growing boldness of fake meat advertising. The truth is, these guys have been around since like 1985. Corn was made from a fungus, but now we're getting some advertising. And this is something that we got to think about in terms of capitalism. Remember that Marxists hate advertising. They basically hate communication, and they want to control everything. So you tend to have one refrigerator maker whose refrigerators don't work. That's the way it works. Worked in the height of the communist reign in the Soviet Union. So if you wonder about the founders of Black Lives Matter and their ideological underpinnings, that's what they believe in. So if you're in marketing, there's better ways to help the black community if the black community needs your help. I'd say the poor need your help. But 2/3 of the poor aren't black or more. Anyway, we wanted to communicate to meat eaters that there's no compromise on taste, texture, or price when going MF, which is meatless farms. Simply swapping once a week can make an astonishing impact on the environment and people's well-being. Now, what was really interesting is yesterday, the founder of Impossible Meats made a big claim about the environment and how great this all was. This was an interesting article because though it goes into all the rock stars and everybody that's doing the advertising, it goes on. It says, so meat alternative products are looking good, right? Well, not quite. There's real debate. Now the debate arises as to their health value. Is it really great? They have to infuse fat. They have to, salt it up. It's basically processed foods, maybe even more processed than you're used to because they're trying to make it, a silk purse out of a sow's ear, or more accurately, they're trying to make a silk purse into a sow's ear because they're flipping the whole game around. Anyway, ingredients are manipulated to an extent that makes them highly questionable in the health and environmental stakes. One pointed out that Impossible Meats uses a lot of soy used in Impossible burgers. Okay? And that has some downsides, especially for men. At least some say so. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I just thought it was an interesting article that basically said, hey, probably makes some sense. As an Orthodox Christian, we fast Wednesdays and Fridays most weeks of the year, and then we go 8 weeks vegan for Lent, 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in August, and then 6 weeks before Christmas. So this stuff is really good. I really like it. But that doesn't mean it's that good for you. So best to use fake meat options sparingly in your diet. The truth is I like the fake meat tacos better than real tacos because they don't drip as much all over me. But I just wanted to point out the advertising. The article mentions the great part about advertising. Okay, National Retail Federation came out with their study of the annual hot ranking, and it's full of surprises, maybe to the author, but it's Sarah Mahoney. But Lidl, Wayfair, Build.com, Don Quixote, and Amazon are the 5 top. Now, to be honest, it is a surprise to me because we don't have these or Build or Don Quixote around. We do have Amazon, a big warehouse south of Milwaukee. So I thought that was great, that the top 5 or the top 10 actually are averaging an annual growth rate of 14%. And, you know, the truth is there's value retailers and there's service retailers, and both are winning. And the middle isn't winning. And that's what I can tell you is the takeaway here. And on that note, Arandell, which is take a left out of my driveway for my house and keep going, and you run right into Arandell, pretty much. Stay on the highway. You got to take one little left and right, and then you're there. And for 20, 30 years, maybe 40 years, I've been saying to Arandell, you know, I can help your customers grow. I can help your catalogers grow. We should be working together. And now they're filing for bankruptcy. It's been a lot of turmoil there in the management. I don't know anything about it. I just know that, you know, the guy I was talking to that was the president then was gone, and now there's a new, and then there's another new one, and, you know, it's sort of like that. So I think they lost some of their identity when the founder family sold out. That's my speculation, but someone will probably get some really great presses for pennies on the dollar unless they can turn it around, and the offer still stands. You know, Quad is a little closer to my house, the world headquarters in Sussex. I told Quad people I'm willing to travel. I'll pay my own way to travel to Sussex, Wisconsin. Happy to meet with you. Happy to grow your customers. I have been growing Quad customers through my entire modeling career of 25 years, which they did acknowledge for a little while, and I did have Quad as a client. But when Harry died, that sort of fell apart. I wanted to just touch on this because I give AI a lot of grief. But Facebook and a bunch of researchers came up with a project in 2015. And I would say this is a kind of a misleading headline, Devin. But Fast MRI was a project that began in 2015 at New York University and became a team effort with Facebook AI Research. And 2 years ago, they were able to run the software and get some tests done. And so they did some blind tests with radiologists and oncologists, I think, and see what they thought of it. Now, the gist of it is that you can go 15 minutes to an hour sitting in an MRI. I always bring my own music, or I usually bring a podcast or some motivational tape. The last time I went to an MRI, the nurse asked me if she could have it at the end because she got really engrossed in it, and I said sure, or I'll send you one. Anyway, I think it was a Amway motivational tape, but there's some really good ones. And so 15 minutes to an hour, depending on what angles and what they're trying to see. And it can be very difficult for the patient. It doesn't bother me much. It's probably the most serene time I ever have in life. But you have to remain immobile in the loud machine, and you can only scan so many people a day. So it was theorized. And this is actually a little bit like the technology they use to compress videos now. There's a software called Handbrake, but it was based on zip technology, compressing files, large data files, back when we had dial-up and things. And those guys for zip, zipping up a file, those guys were actually based in Milwaukee, I think, who invented that. But they theorized that you could take the spaces out and save a lot of space if you could figure out how to put it back together. Well, in video compression, if you think about it, if you look at my video here, nothing in the background moves. Could be a green screen, could be anything. It happens to be my library. There's some Dilbert up there. There's a Wisconsin DMA sign there. If I open my window, you'd see that. But the point is, that doesn't move. So when I'm transmitting all that stuff, if you're smart enough, you just focus on this part right here that's moving. Even this part isn't really moving. So you focus on this part here, and you make the changes really well, and maybe the eyebrows, maybe the head moves a little, and you should be able to lower the amount of data that has to be transmitted. Well, that same process was applied to the fast MRI, okay? And so a well-trained machine could fill in the gaps if less information was collected in the first place. It doesn't really change the machine. It just changes where the machine focuses its attention. Fills in the background once and then leaves it alone. Okay? Since you can't move, it doesn't matter. Then it goes into where it really needs to look. I don't know how it does it, but it does it. Okay? The study found there were no significant differences in the radiologist's evaluations. Okay? The blind tests. They found the same abnormalities in pathology regardless of whether they were examining the standard or the AI-generated MRIs. Now, what does that do? It basically takes the cost of an MRI down to 1/4 of what it's been. The overhead cost. I don't know that that'll bring the price down to 1/4, but that's what's going on today. What's going on is some incredible cost benefits. And that's really what we do in machine learning. The machine doesn't make decisions for us. In my case, in our modeling case, what it does is it sifts through 500 variables. But I know, like for example, for a client, I think we just got sent to us net worth of a household. So we're going to score it. We're going to put it in, score it. Now that's one variable along with zillions. We already have housing value. We already is the neighborhood. We already have some median household income, which is the neighborhood. But this is individual household, may be valuable. Some of the profiling done by third parties suggests it's very valuable. Because if you're in the mail and you're marketing to retirees, when I stop working, my income may go down, if I ever stop. But my house is still valuable, and so I have some net worth. And so net worth in some ways has more value to catalogers often than income, total income, right? So anyway, these guys found the same anomalies in pathology. 5 out of 6, all the examiners who did know which was which, said that the accelerated images were better quality overall. But 5 of the 6 radiologists who didn't know the difference weren't able to correctly discern which images were generated using AI. So this is not a deep dive into how AI works, but it is another example of how you can kind of cut corners. You can, in the case of our methodology, and I did find in a playlist on modeling, I do actually have a 15-minute video that shows a little bit of how the process works. I think I recorded it live while I was modeling. So you can dig into that on YouTube if you like. And that's the truth. Oh, I forgot to bring up my sorry, I didn't say hi to anybody. I forgot to bring up the Periscope because and I see some people are there. Anyway, YouTube is where we keep the edited archives, and so the playlists are up there, and it's Miglosh Marketing. Search for Miglosh Marketing, you'll find the playlists. But somewhere in about the middle of the modeling playlist, there is an actual demo of the software, which, as I watched a Google AI machine learning expert, and she pointed out that most of these algorithms were invented in the 50s and 60s, and ours is no different. And so just because someone has new software doesn't mean they're using any newer algorithms, and the basic stuff still works, which is an important thing to keep in mind. Anyway, I'm taking it a little more relaxed. My style consultant says Don't try to make every show a home run. So I think that's probably a good idea. Have a good day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart.